It's Luke here at Young Writers, and I'm joined today with a very, very special guest, Cressida Cowell.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Yeah, good to hear, good to hear. So I'll get straight into it. You have been quite busy recently, and I've actually seen you pop up on BBC News, which is exciting. Of course, you are lobbying to increase some funding for libraries in primary schools. Do you want to tell us why you think that's so important and why young people out there should be interested in this?
Well, there's been loads of research to say that a kid who reads for the joy of it, for pleasure, is likely to be more more economically successful, let alone educationally successful, more likely to vote, more likely to own their own houses. All of these stats, this research we've had for years, that a kid who reads for the joy of it. But my question has always been, if your parents can't afford books, if you don't have a library in your primary school and your public library isn't there, how can you become a reader for the joy of it? So it's just not fair.
Yeah,
I feel, children, every child should have a library with a primary school, and children on free school meals are twice as likely to be in a library in a primary school that doesn't have a library. It's not fair. So that is what, because everybody should have the same chance in life, I feel. And how can you read the joy of it if you don't have lots and lots and lots of? Actually, this isn't my. This is my old book. I've got lots of bookcases, and this is more the books that I read when I was growing up. But I've got a few here. You can see. This is why I make my books look like sweets, not. So I make them look joyful, like something that you to read and really exciting, and and you want to have loads of books that look like this, fun and with lots and lots of choice, because you might like books about adventures and Vikings and magic, like what I like, but your friend might like, something more like Jacqueline Wilson, or something that's more about football, or about going to Africa and looking at all wonderful creatures there. Everybody's interested in different things, and so you want to have every kid having loads of choice, and somebody in that school who knows what great books there are out there for kids and what might get them excited about reading. Because it's about reading and writing for the joy of it. This is what I'm always getting back. It's reading and writing for joy.
Absolutely.
One more thing about reading, because I love screen and telly. I love it, and I watch masses myself. So it's not about it, it's all stories, but reading is something different, and I want children to be able to, because film and telly is very bossy. It tells you a lot about how things look and how, whereas in a book you feel like you are that person. You are up, and you are Hermione, or you are Hermione if it's Harry Potter, or Kamikaze, or Wish in my one. You feel like you are that person, so the book it gets inside you more. And it's also very good for creativity, because you can make up things, so I want every child to be able to have that as well as screen.
I mean, that's part of what we do as well. Obviously we love writing, we love reading, and it's something that, we're not part of the curriculum in most cases. We are something that we just try and spark the joy and the creativity and get people involved. And our main goal is to spread a love of reading and a love of writing. It's not, to make sure people do it, it's to love it and it's to enjoy it. And that's the important thing. And I think we've all probably had our too much fair share of watching TV and watching films and watching Netflix over, maybe the last year when we've all been stuck indoors. But we're really hoping that people have also had the opportunity to venture into reading a lot more and fall in love with it. I mean, I've always loved reading, but I know over the last year I've read more than I usually do, because the amount of time that we've all had off, and kind of rediscovered a love. And I've a bookshelf that's nearly as full as this. I've been buying way too many books. So it's really important. It gets creativity flowing, and it's something totally different, especially in the younger generations. And I have to say, I grew up reading How to Train Your Dragon. So firstly, it's truly an honor to actually be here speaking to you. That's so exciting. But you've come a long way. I have an exciting, amazing thing here.
Yes.
It's a long journey. It's been a long journey for you. As I say, when I was younger, I was reading How to Train Your Dragon, and now we are here. This is coming out, I believe, on the 27th. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's coming out very soon. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the final installment of Wizards of Once?
I just go and get my copy. I should have a copy of Wizards of Once. Maybe I'll just, we're going to show it anyway. Oh, can I just quickly go?
Yeah.
I hope you can edit this.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
So basically, yes, this is the 4th in the series. So there's 4 books in the series. Look, they all look like sweets.
They all look sweets, yeah.
And it's all about magic. It's got 2 heroes. There's a girl hero and a boy hero. And, you know, that's Wish is the girl hero. And she is a warrior girl who has a secret, which is behind her eye patch. And this is Tsar. He's this wizard boy, and he's a wizard, but his magic hasn't come in yet. So he's desperately trying to get magic, and he's got the magic, and therefore he stole some magic from a witch, and it's starting to control him. So the books are all about the 2 children who are from 2 tribes that are warring and are fighting each other. It's all about the children trying to get rid of Tsar's witch stain, and also get the adults to join together to fight the real evil, which is the witches. And this is the last book in the series.
The last one.
This is where things get really bad. I pretty much, my children, the children in my stories, in really difficult situations, but this is a really bad situation where Squeeze Juice has been kidnapped by the King Witch, and the children have to. They think they found this spell to get rid of witches, and they have to try and defeat the witches and get their parents to join together to do it rather than fighting each other.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of kind of underlying themes going on into like a broader sense, and they've kind of been placed into that book. And I'm sure it's a really, really fascinating story. And this, yeah, as you say, this is the last one. So if you haven't started reading them yet, get the 4th one, get all 3, and have a power week, and you'll get the full story. And that's really exciting. It's
really about magic. I loved magic when I was a kid. I secretly wanted to be magic. So it's about a world. This is what's such fun to write it. It's about a world where magic really exists, and Tsar who's the wizard boy, has all these sprites and giants. I mean, who wouldn't want to own their own giant? I mean,
absolutely.
A great giant called Crusher, and these cute little sprites, and Wish has this incredible magic that works on iron. So she has this enchanted spoon who's always hopping on her head, and it's just really fun world to be in and to write about. I suppose that's, although it has all these big themes, and it's also just a lot of fun to write about, to be in. The world.
I mean, it's fun to read.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I want to try and create, worlds that you would really love to be in.
Yeah. Wow. So what I've done is I've been a bit of a lazy journalist, if you were, and we've actually outsourced. I thought I'd have a day off. I'd get everyone else to write my questions for you. So we did a little bit of a call out to some schools and some of our young writers out there, and they have the next few questions for you, and they are very good. They are very good. So I'm going to start off. Natasha Hollyoak, age 11, from the West Midlands, is asking, if you could put yourself in any scenario in any of your books, what would it be, or where would it be, or when would it be?
Oh, I know. I would love to be. I mean, I've got a lot. Wish is in Wizards of Once. She's the girl hero in Wizards of Once, and they go in not 3 times to this school, which is called Perdita's School of. What is it called, actually? That's a very good point. I've never forgotten the school. I think it's called Pook's Hill. Is it called Pook's Hill? Anyway, the school is a school where they're sort of learning. And it's not really, it's a learning place. It's a learning place for, they don't call it a school because it's the Bronze Age. It's a learning place for spectacularly gifted wizards. And there's this great teacher called Perdita who teaches them all these, this is Perdita. And she teaches them all about different kinds of spells, and spells that could turn you into somebody else, and spells that could turn you into birds. And I just would love to be in that place learning. And she's really teaching Wish in particular how to use her magic. And I mean, I say that particularly because I'd like to be there, because a lot of the situations I put my heroes in are really dangerous, and and so I think that that's a lovely place, because Perdita is a great teacher, and she's, you know, the things that they're learning is just so exciting and would be such fun to be there. So I think that's the place I'd most like to be.
And out of harm's way, basically.
Well, no, but also learning how to, all the things that I think are most interesting, things about trees, think about magic. How could you go back in time? You know, it's all about, I'd really like to go to a school where it was all about, you know, writing and being creative. And that's really what I would like to do. But learning about things that also I'm really interested in, like birds and trees and things like that.
So next up, I have Braden from St. Vincent's Catholic Primary School. Braden's 8. And they said, how did you create the names of your characters? And then they've put more specifically How to Train Your Dragon, but in any of them.
Well, funny enough, Vikings really were called extraordinary names. So a real Viking would be Ivar the Boneless. Wonderful name. And so I kind of thought, I'll do the same thing. I will call the Vikings names that sort of almost describe them. So I think you have things like Bad Breath the Gruff, or, you know, Stoic the Vast, or Baggy Bum the Beer Belly. And that sort of describes them, but it's not so very far from the real Viking. Ivar the Boneless. There's another one called, this is a real Viking, Magnus Barelegs. And I'm not sure whether it was bare legs as in legs like a bear, or bare legs. So, you know, it was playing games with language, and that's what I'm doing with the Dragonese as well. In How to Train Dragon, you can learn this whole language of Dragonese, and you can sort of understand it. Me mama na like it, yum yum on de bum. You can understand it, can't you? But it's sort of describing, or a chair might be in Dragonese is bum support. So you can sort of understand it. Death is the bigger dream time. You can sort of understand it without, but it's all playing games with language. Really. I love playing games with language.
Yeah. So this is quite a fourth wall question, I might add. So we asked children to send in their questions, and Paul, age 12, from Ashfield Boys School in Belfast, said, I'm suffering with writer's block and I can't think of a question. Do you ever get writer's block?
Yes, I think everybody gets writer's block. I can tell you where how I avoid it, or I get out of it.
Yeah.
So I find a number of things. I do a lot of research, which sounds so dull, but is in fact so exciting. So I try and think about a subject that I'm really interested in, and then I'll find out as much as I possibly can about it, and that gives you ideas for stories. So if it's Vikings, I'll be looking up about Vikings and trying. And there's so many, you know, nowadays, this is the great thing about the internet, and you can just go on and, oh my goodness, Vikings, you know, you'll discover they discovered America way beyond Christopher Columbus, you know, or that you came across, or you'll discover, I found somewhere, I don't even know whether this was true, but it was such a great fact. It gave me that Vikings trained cats so that when they were sword fighting an opponent, they could throw the cat at the opponent's head, because it's very, very difficult to sword fight somebody when a cat is attacking your head. Okay. But it's a cool fact, and it gives you ideas. Do you see what I mean? So I do that all the time. I take something I'm interested in, and I do lots of, and you find out, and it gives you ideas. The other thing I'd say about writer's block is that we all have a tendency to be a bit hard on ourselves. Everybody, even, you know, writers who are writing. So we think, oh no, you know, that's no good, that's not good enough. I mean, I think it's sometimes you have to, because there's a lot at school about, you know, being good enough and being tested and being
absolutely.
You know, and I look back at the book, the things that I was writing outside of school, and actually even sometimes in school, because I had one great teacher who let me do this. And you know what? The spelling is terrible. The handwriting is, you know, the ideas are derivative. You know, I'm often copying, you know, doing the famous 8 by the famous 5.
Three.
You know, there's no sign there that this is a future children's laureate in the making. You know, I'm just writing for the fun of it. And particularly when you're young, don't forget to don't just say, oh, you know, because that can stop you writing. That can really help make you just write things that make you laugh, things that you care about, things that make you cry, things that you really mind about. And even though you think, oh, maybe that's, you know, not posh enough, or, you know, maybe I shouldn't be writing about football because other people won't be, there will be. If you're passionate about something, you care about something enough, don't worry too much about it not being good enough all the time, because it can really get in the way. You come back later and edit stuff, and, you know, but don't be so, my husband has a great saying for this, and it's really helpful. Don't let perfection be the enemy of the good. And what that means, because what that means is, you know, sometimes we can be so worried about something being so wonderful that you don't write it at all, and you have to just write it.
Yeah, I mean, we say a lot about that as well. It's kind of just do it. Just if you enjoy it, do it. Even if it's not for other people's consumptions, if you enjoy it and it gives you a release and a creative outlet, do it. Enjoy it, love it. And then if you love it, you'll do it more. And if you do it more, that, you know, that's where the perfection and the development kind of more sets in. But if you just enjoy it, do it. And that's generally our top advice.
And there was a really cool this guy who invented radar in the Second World War. Okay, so the Second World War is happening, and oh my goodness, you know, there's this huge pressure. You know, somebody's got to come up with radar because we're losing. You know, we're losing. So somebody's got to come up with radar. Oh my goodness, he was in charge of the whole program, a bit like somebody being in charge of the COVID, you know, situation, trying to find a vaccine. What he said was, you have to give them the second best, because the first best comes too late and the best never comes.
Okay.
Really useful.
Poignant. I love it.
Don't be so hard on yourself, is what I'd say.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So the next question, speaking of love, this might be quite a pick your favorite child question, but so someone from year 5 at St John's School in Devon has asked, which was your favorite book to write and why? If you can even answer that. I love them all equally.
I do, and they're all, that's such a boring answer, but it is really really is true, because every time I'm trying to write a book that I hate it in a book series where you suddenly think, oh, that isn't quite as good as the last one. You know, when I'm reading them, it's really disappointing. So I try and make everyone better than the last one. And in a way, that's easier to do because you're kind of building up to the finale, you know, you're trying to. So that's automatically with the last one, it's like, oh, what's going to happen? Because you built it up. So I suppose the last book in a series is always quite fun to write, because you generally set up all these questions like in Wizards of Once. Who is the narrator? And everybody's been guessing who is the narrator. In the last one, Never and Forever, you finally get to tell who is the narrator. Okay. So that's quite fun to do. That's fun to do. You know, because you've known all along who the narrator is, and you finally get to say, and that's, or, you know, you finally get to say whether or not they did get their parents, you know, to see each other, you know. So the last books in a series are often the funnest to do, because and often probably to read, because you're finding out the answers to all the questions like, you know, will Tsar get rid of his witch stain, and will his magic come in, and all of those questions get answered. And I'd say the first book in a series is the hardest, because, you know, you haven't set up your world. You have to, if you're setting up a world, you have to draw all the places, because you have to make it feel like these places are real, that these woods are real, and that the, like is it Pook's Hill, that school of, you know, that school's a real place. And so you have to design the characters. It's a bit like, you know, it's creating something out of nothing. You have to design all the characters, and so that's the hardest.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So obviously this will be going out to a lot of young writers, people that want to write more, or if they love it, or they want to do it as a hobby, or maybe even, you know, they're destined to be the future children's laureates. So Henry Skipper, aged 8, from Norfolk, asks, how old were you when you knew, or light bulb moment, that you wanted to be an author?
I think I was quite young, but I still didn't know. I would have known that I really wanted to be it, but I wouldn't have known that it was something that I really could do. And the reason for that is that my so I'll tell you the moment, but I also tell you why I didn't think I could do it. So the moment, I think, was when I loved reading. I loved reading. And so I read loads and loads and loads of different books. And I remember there was a moment where there's a book that I read called The Ogre Downstairs, which was about some children who find a magic chemistry set. I told you I love magic. And each of the different chemicals did a different thing. So one chemical brought your toys to life. And another chemical, if you poured it on, made you fly. And I loved it. And it was funny and really exciting. And it real inspiration for these books. It was about magic. And I remember reading it aloud to my brother and sister and my little cousins, and I made them laugh. And they said, please, you know, can we have one more chapter? One more. I know. And it was that, oh my goodness, I'm getting them as excited about this book that I love as I am.
Yeah.
So kind of thought I would love to do that for other children, to be able to write stories that would make children do that. Just one more chapter. Yeah. And so that was the moment, I think. And because I always loved drawing and creating new worlds, but there's also lots of other things I wanted to be. I was really into history, and I love painting, and I love drawing. You know, I do the drawing in my book. So it's not like there's not other things. And I love adventures and animals. I'd love to, you know, vet, or you know, there's lots of other things I'd like to be. But I think that was the moment when I thought, wow, I could really be an author. What I didn't think was my handwriting was really scruffy.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, my spelling was a bit hit and miss, you know. And when you're little, it's sort of, you don't know this, but for some reason you kind of think that that's what it's about, you know. Yeah. I still remember the kid in the class who had the really neat handwriting, Henrietta Wallace, you know. She's going to be the writer. She's going to be the writer because she had the neat handwriting and she got everything in on time. I was in trouble all the time. Because I never got anything. I didn't know about deadlines, and, you know, I never knew what homework it was or what, you know, I didn't, you know, and my handwriting was messy. And so I never thought I could be a writer. It isn't about that. It's about your ideas. and it's about your ideas. So I want to say that to children. Don't be put off if you're, at the end of the day, if you're going to be a writer, it's about your imagination. It's about those incredible ideas and the characters you can create and the worlds you know, that's what it's about. Because at the end of the day, it's not a race. Everybody will learn to write. And even if you have, you know, it's really difficult. That's why I make Wish have a dyslexia, even though it's in the Bronze Ages. If you have a learning difficulty like that, it's so hard to not be put off writing. But Wish, I say, is the writer in the story, because if you have dyslexia, even if you, I mean, things will get better. It'll just be it'll be slower for you. But even if you can't ever, because of this dyslexia, you're still so intelligent. Dyslexic children are so smart. And you could still be a writer, because there's things like, you know, you can work on computers and there's spell check and there's lots of backup for somebody like me as an adult writer. So don't be put off by that. That's what I would say, because I was, as a kid, I thought, and because I could never, I struggled. I wasn't dyslexic, but I struggled with giving things in on time. But I've learned how to do that. And it took me a long time, but I did learn. So don't let these things, it's not a race, I would say.
Love it. I mean, from what I can say as well, is that generally the possibilities are always endless. And I think, you know, when you're younger, the time that you have to develop and the small things just matter less, as you say, like handwriting and spelling. When you get to an older age, you kind of realize that those things actually don't define anything. And the world is absolutely anyone's oyster to do anything that you want. If you put your heart into it, absolutely you can do it. And, you know, that's it. And it's not defined when you're younger.
Not a race. People did not consider Einstein a genius when he was at school. That's so important. Yeah. Einstein, incredibly one of the cleverest, you know, the people that scientists that people now say, you know, at school, he was not considered all that. But what did he have? What did he have? Creativity. He was able to see beyond. What he said was, this is Einstein, no problem can be solved with the same mindset that created it. Yeah. So what he meant by that was, you know, and he said something else, knowledge is limited, imagination encircles the world. So he was about, you need to have the imagination to see beyond, you know, just knowledge. You know, it's about creativity, even in science. It's not just about what you know, it's about seeing beyond that to imaginative solutions to things that nobody's ever thought of before. So when you're little, it's a lot about knowledge and what you know and facts. But he knew, even with something like science, it's about your vision. It's about, and children are the most creative of people in the world, because they don't know the rules yet, you know. So Einstein was really good about that. He always talked about how the importance of making mistakes, and, you know, somebody who never makes a mistake never discovers something new. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, on that very positive and inspiring note, I just want to thank you for, you know, taking the time to speak with us. And I really hope that some people will watch this and truly be inspired and understand a little bit more of that they can achieve, and that they can go out there. And if you love it, if you love writing, if you love reading, go and do it. And, you know, I think you can definitely attest to that. We all can.
Can I suggest something? Yeah. Have some books where you just write, and I wish I had it here. I used to have books as a kid where I just wrote, some special book where I just wrote what I wanted to write, and things that, don't think, you know, it could be anything. It could be characters that you draw that are, you know, I used to draw dragons and then make up stories about them, or I used to draw fairies and make up stories. I created a whole school where I just wrote down the characters in the school and wrote their timetable, you know, and the school on an island, and the timetable, all the kind of, that's writing, that's creating. You know, I'm creating a timetable. You know, you could just write down jokes that you think are funny. You could create your own game. You know, game design. You could, you know, try and invent your own, you know, video game. You know, in these, just have some space where you're just writing and creating what you want to create, what you want to write about, what you're interested in.
Definitely.
You know? And that's, it's really important to have that space. You know, it doesn't need to be stories even. It depends on what you're interested in. As I say, it could be jokes, it could be ideas for film. Anyway, so that's what I do.
The creativity is there, and use it and love it and enjoy it and thrive from it. I think that's the key takeaway, basically. Do what you love. No, truly, thank you so much. And I really, really wish you the best of luck with all the amazing things that you're doing. The last book in the Wizards of Want series will be out very, very soon. So make sure to go and read them all. Treat yourself, have a great weekend, and read all 4 books in once if you really want. But grab it. It's a great series. And thank you once again.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Speak to you later. Bye.
Bye.